Mark, do you know what? I've been asking everyone, based on the film we're doing this week, I've been asking everyone all week what LGBTQ plus actually stands for. And do you know, despite the hundreds of comments, I've not once got a straight fucking answer.
That's surprisingly tame for you, mate, I'll be honest.
I did have another one, but I decided against it. Maybe I'll drop it later when I've had a few more beers.
Same. We can't hear anything, Scott. Is the music supposed to be playing? Are you just casually taking a beer and sipping your vape? I'm like, are you going to say something or are you going to play the intro music?
Hold on.
Hold on, no, mate.
I'm there bopping away and you two looking at me going, the fuck, is he all right?
Well, I knew you were playing the music and I was like, why can't I hear it? Is it just me or is something going on with his live? You want to try that again?
Yeah, hold on. Right, let's see if it works this time.
And, before I forget,
I'll kill you if this is a joke.
You want to die tonight?
The You Run Podcast.
The You Run Podcast.
The You Run Podcast.
The You Run Podcast.
Why isn't it possible?
I can't say nothing. A Candyman get me.
You choose the movies.
I had a heart-on this morning when I woke up, Tina. Had your name written all over it.
You score them.
Nice fucking model!
You review them.
For that you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
My name is very fucking confused. What's your name?
Captain Howdy.
Don't want to go fooling around other folks' property.
In my goddamn soul. Where's a beer?
Because after all, this is not our show. This is your show.
Hello and welcome to the You Run podcast. This is kicking off ooky spooky season. My name is Scott.
My name is Mark.
And we are your hosts each and every week as we take you through new releases, movie chosen by you in our polls on social media. We also have huge amounts of interactive features, games, guests, jokes. And if you want to get involved with the show, the easiest way to do that is follow us on any of our social medias. That's Facebook, TikTok, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, Threads, the Slasher app, Instagram, and it's at You Run Podcast on all of those. If you'd like to go and follow Mark for some great reviews and jealousy of an immense VHS collection, he is at MW_horror reviews on Slasher app and Instagram and at MW_horror_VHS on TikTok and Instagram.
It's getting out of hand now, to be honest with you. My wife is going wild with the amount of deliveries that keep coming from my door. It started off with me saying, people just keep donating them to me. I've got all these new friends on Instagram and Facebook, and they just see that I'm collecting and send them out to me. That lie has not held up for very long.
No, well, when you hit triple figures and then quadruple figures, it's like, how many people are donating to you? She's starting to think you've got some sort of OnlyFans peddling for VHS. Yeah.
Said to me the other day, she was like, I know full well you're buying these fucking tapes, and I'll stop it.
Well, if you do want to donate to Mark, you can just message him on one of his accounts. You can also leave us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com, or record us a voicemail on any of those apps I just mentioned that allow you to send an audio DM. And today we have one, which is nice for me. Not so nice for you today, Mark.
It never is. If this is Buffy related again, honestly, I'm going to quit.
No Buffy today. You ready?
Hi, you ever heard of Uncle Roger? You need to be more like Uncle Scott, following his footsteps, so you're not a big disappointment. Like me, being a disappointment to Auntie Esther in bed.
So yeah, people are not happy that you don't know who Uncle Roger is.
I still don't know who Uncle Roger is. In fact, I don't even remember having the conversation about a guy named Uncle Roger.
What do you mean you don't remember having the conversation? This is the guy who reviews people's cooking and slags it off. He's very, very funny.
When did we talk about this?
H5.
Oh, I was so drunk on that episode, though, to be honest. In my defense.
That's what Uncle Roger says to you.
That still means nothing to me. Should I go and research this guy?
You should. And it'll mean a lot to our listeners. One more time. Uncle Roger, tell him.
Hiya. See, the problem is that sounds like something I shouldn't be typing in the internet.
You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Anyway, that's enough of that. And as we've already got our guest in hysterics, it's about time to introduce him. We have a guest this week. This is a guy who has just about every piece of collectible memorabilia that I've ever wanted to own. He's a Buffy fan, slasher movie fan, everything fan. Yeah, literally everything from Power Rangers through to Buffy, through to horror movies, you name it, he loves it. Worked in TV and film for a long time, got a fabulous account. Welcome, Jim, from Jim's Retro Emporium.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really good.
Thank you so much for joining us. And just because it got such a smile out of you earlier.
Hiya! I'm not convinced that's not you.
That audio clip might have to stay. That might become part of the show now. Every time Mark says something that I don't like.
Please don't do that to me. I'll be waking up in the middle of the night to, hiya!
Surely if you're waking up to that, that's a good thing.
It depends who it's coming from. If it's Uncle Roger, then probably not.
No, definitely not if it's from me. That's not what you want to hear. This week we were meant to be taking on Saw 10, but that's going to be next week because the cinema releases, I don't know, kind of just I didn't work the dates out properly. So if you were expecting Saw 10, you're not getting Saw 10. But that's fine by everyone here because we're going all 80s in a movie that is the best evolution of Freddy. We get to read through Nancy's diary. We get to dance about. We get naked with the boys in the shower. What could easily be described as the most homoerotic horror movie of all time. We're delighted to bring you A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Someone is coming back to Elm Street. He is not friendly. He is not patient.
Kill for me.
And he is not a welcome visitor.
No!
But he has something terribly special for the new kid on the block.
It started to happen again. Dad! I'm in trouble. You've had some scary dreams, okay? Help!
Daddy can't help you now.
There's something inside him.
Fight him! You're not afraid of him. He doesn't even exist.
Freddy Krueger is back on Elm Street.
Get out of here, Lisa!
Jesse, fight him!
Watch out for him. He'll be in your neighborhood soon. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2.
You all my children now.
Freddy's Revenge.
So the listeners score the movies, and the listeners kicked this off with a 7 out of 10, which I'm surprised at. I thought that was going to be higher.
Yeah, I thought that would be a lot higher. Not respectable enough for a movie of this stature, though.
No spoilers where Mark's opinion lies. IMDb have come in at 5.4 out of 10, with Letterboxd coming in at 2.8 out of 5.
Oh, that is brutal, man. That's not
Letterboxd,
even like midpoint.
No, Letterboxd seem to be really harsh with all their movies.
Yeah, people are quite snooty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they are on Letterboxd. I found that. And they usually just follow it on with some wise joke, and then that's it. Like, they'll try and make a joke of the film and the title, and then review it like 1 star. I'm like, why are you even here? Why are you even contributing to this community? Just go away.
Do you have a letterbox
If that's your
account,
account
Mark?
and you're doing that stuff, I do have a letterbox account, but I take it seriously.
Guaranteed there's a review on there from Mark that starts with a quippy one-liner followed by 1 star.
No, not a chance.
Everyone go and check. Find me that review and send it to me, and we'll read it on the air just to make a point.
You do realise as soon as this recording's ending, I'm going straight on my account to check.
For anyone who hasn't seen this movie, Freddy is out for revenge on the town which burned him alive. And in his weakened state from his altercation with Nancy Thompson, which I think we'd all be in a weakened state if we had an altercation with Nancy Thompson. I know I would. He needs a conduit to enter the real world. Jesse Walsh is that conduit. Will Jesse be able to fend Freddy off, or will he become Freddy Krueger himself? I think I've done well with synopsis this week.
That was very good.
That was all right for you. Yeah, very professional. I'm a bit taken back by how professional that was for a change.
It was a bit too much. It's all right. I'll dumb it down. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, you're just saving it all for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. Let's start with the bus. Anyone want to take me through how this opens?
Can we just do our actual show routine first and do news and all the rest of it before we get into the film, or are we just going to go blindly into whatever?
Do you know news would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
It really would before we really started.
Yeah.
I'm throwing things off.
No, yeah, it's your top, Jim. I love your top. It's blindsided me. Right, so what
that mullet, it's the finest mullet in Isle of Man. That's what it is.
You can't get more easy than that.
So what are we doing now?
We're doing news.
News, okay.
This is what happens when we have no show notes. I always feel like I should have papers to shuffle when that intro music plays.
I feel like I've just been voted off the weakest link.
I'm not going to be able to forget that now.
No, that's. I'm going to need to do some serious editing to make this sound anywhere near coherent. We started reviewing that. Oh shit, we've forgotten that. Let's go back and do that.
Just leave it as it is. It'll be fine.
You can start with news this week, Mark, purely for the fact that I've obviously not had enough beer, so I'm going to sit here quietly and drink a beer.
I think that's maybe where your flow's going wrong. Have a beer and get back with us.
Yeah.
So my first bit of news this week is the return of John Carpenter. John Carpenter is coming to Peacock with a TV show called Suburban Screams. Now, I have seen everybody going wild for this on the internet at the moment, saying how John Carpenter's TV series, this is going to be... Now, I love John Carpenter, don't get me wrong, and I'm happy he is back, but everybody needs to just calm down their expectations a little bit, because although he's doing the score and the intro music and all the rest of it for this program, he's actually only directing one episode in an entire series. So although he's making a return, and if he enjoys it and if he's successful, we may finally get that final feature film directed by John Carpenter before he passes. So I wish you all the success in the world, but he is only actually doing one episode in this series, even though it is called John Carpenter's Suburban Screams. He always likes to put his name on the top of things. I'm excited for this. It's basically like Unsolved Mysteries or that kind of thing that was rife in the 90s, where they had like real life crimes, but then they had like actual reenactments and stuff throughout. But it looks very well done as opposed to what it did back to when Unsolved Mysteries and stuff was a thing. So I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be really, really cool. The trailer looks fantastic. If you haven't seen the trailer for this, go on YouTube it straight away and check it out. It looks very, very good. Basically, they're taking stuff like urban legends that was a thing in like people's neighborhoods growing up, and then they have real life people. I don't know whether the people who are doing the interview and documentary sections are actual people who have experienced this or they're actors as well. That kind of information hasn't been released about it yet, but it seems to me as if it's real life people telling the stories of what kind of happened in their neighborhoods growing up, and the sort of Candyman-esque tales of that sort of stuff, and then they have reenactments in between, which is stuff that's directed by John Carpenter and other directors, well-known horror directors throughout.
I've got to ask, is John Carpenter, has he passed it? Has he still got it? Can he come back and actually deliver like he did in the 70s and 80s, or is this now just a flailing attempt at one last stab of glory?
I'll be honest with you, mate. I think as a director, his filmography is mediocre at best. And that comes from somebody who absolutely idolizes a man, and that's only based on the fact that he's given me Halloween and The Thing. But everything in between and thereafter, it's not the best. And I don't know why people idolize this man so much, because he's very flaky, he's very rude, and he's not really appreciative of his fans at the best of times. So as much as I love him for what he's given us as horror fans, he's not really the best of characters when it comes to his stuff, and also being reliable with his stories. He'll tell one thing one year and you can guarantee you bump into him the year later, he will tell a completely different tale about the same thing. So I don't know. I like him. I like what he does, and I like especially his music, his musical score and his input stuff. What he provided for the latest Gordon Green trilogy is nothing short of outstanding. His score for those 3 movies was second to none. But it's clear that music is his passion these days, and I think maybe that's the lane he needs to stick in.
Jim, thoughts?
I was just going to ask, Mark, as a hardcore fan, do you think the appetite's there for him to come back as a director, or is it more the score?
I think people want him to, but I think they base that more on the name, but probably for the wrong reasons. I mean, I like Body Bags. Body Bags was fantastic, the anthology thing that he did, which he also starred in as well. That's really, really good. Very cheesy, but for the product of its time, I thought it was fantastic. I don't think he's all that, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I think he's had a few bangers, but overall his filmography is probably a 30-70, in a 70 being the downfall more than anything, if I'm honest.
Wow. That is 100% an audio clip.
But that's just me being perfectly honest with you. I'm not trying to slander the guy. I think he's great and he deserves the respect that he gets for some of the hits that he has had. But overall, when everyone's like, everything John Carpenter touches turns to gold, that's really not the case. Have you seen Ghost of Mars?
That's one of the first things that came to my mind.
I'm going to lighten it up with something that's a little bit cheerier that I think everyone can... Oh, no, this is a lie. No one's going to get behind this. Disney have announced a live-action reboot of The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I don't know how I feel.
I love it, because the thing is as well, I've also read this article, and it's not actually a remake of The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's called Halloween Town. And I think this is basically going to incorporate the Tim Burton world. So you'll get like The Corpse's Bride, and you'll get all the other, like Frankenweenie was one of them, part of it. Was that a thing? Yeah. I think that was it? So you'll get all that kind of thing. You'll bring all that world together as well. Imagine a film with like Jack Skellington and The Corpse's Bride and all that stuff together in one little universe. I think it could be really, really cool. I don't know if I'm exactly excited about it being live action. If he'd have done it all together as a stop motion animation universe, that would have been awesome, and that would have got me excited. But the concept of it being this whole new era of Disney live action remakes kind of worries me, because you've got stuff like The Little Mermaid, The Beauty and the Beast, The Jungle Book. I think they all look fucking dreadful, and I would much rather watch some 70s cartoons over any of those any day of the week. So for me, I'm a bit skeptical, but because of the source material, it could be cool. But it depends who they target this to as well. Do they target it to fans of that who have now grown, or are in their 30s, 40s and 50s, who will actually appreciate it and make it a little bit more gory and R-rated, or do they turn it into a kids film, which point nobody's going to get any of the references. They're not going to understand any of the stuff that it's aimed at towards them. And I think it's just going to get washed away and lost in the shadows if it comes out without being targeted at the right audience.
Yeah, you say that. I have a 6-year-old daughter who is obsessed with The Nightmare Before Christmas. Loves it.
I hope my daughter does when she gets to that age. I think that's a bit too scary for a 3-year-old, though.
Yeah, I was concerned it was too scary for my daughter. and I put it on, and within 2 minutes of like the opening scene, she sat there going, do 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 do. It's great.
I think this one could be quite fun because the original, the 90s one, that itself was based on a poem, I think, that Tim Burton adapted. So he can take it in a different direction if he wants to. It's not that black and white.
Yeah.
See, I had the original book that he did, The Nightmare Before Christmas, which has got all his artwork in, and he writes it and draws the illustrations and stuff for it. And that's a really, really cool book. So if he takes that direction with it, that could be quite interesting. But I don't know. It just, if it comes out kid friendly, I just think it's going to be one of those ones that I'll be aware of, but I won't waste my time going to see. I don't think.
Well, we'll see. Time will tell on that. I'm not overly sold. What else you got for news? Something upbeat, something happy.
Something happy, yeah. Kid Jim, I think you'll like this one as well. While we're on the kid-friendly route, we have the announcement that Casper is coming to a live-action series in the works with Peacock. So we're going to get a TV series based on Casper, the Friendly Ghost. Now, live-action, something that we keep throwing around a lot tonight. I think this is the kind of thing that works very well for live-action. As we've seen with the film, with Christina Ricci and the dude from Final Destination, I always forget his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone just says yeah, because nobody else knows it either.
In the Eminem video, he played Stan.
That's it, he plays Stan in the Eminem, and he was in Idle Hands as well. How do I not know his name? Because he's in the new Chucky TV series as well. Anyway, never mind. I'm sure you'll all be screaming down your headphones at me right now, but I don't know why I'm referring to him because he's not involved. This could be cool. If they follow on from that film and take it in that direction, that could be really, really interesting. I'd quite like them to also incorporate the film into this series and bring Christina Ricci back as an older woman and it still looks the same. I don't want it to look any different from what it did in the 90s when we were growing up, because that was cool. That's my Casper with I think it was Fatso and Slime and Stretch.
Yeah.
Please tell me I got that right. I would be so proud of myself if I remembered all three of those. And I think if they did that route with it and followed on from that film, that could be quite interesting. Definitely noteworthy if they do. But again, with a lot of things from our childhood, they tend to take the IP and just destroy it and break our souls.
I like the idea of it a lot, but they need to deliver it right. And my concern is they're going to take it in a different direction, that they'll go somewhere else with it. It'll be, I don't know, Casper's aim to go to high school. They'll go that way. And he'll end up a student of a high school, and it'll all be centered around Casper in school and Casper. It'll literally be like Sabrina, the remake of Sabrina they done, but with Casper as Sabrina. That's where I see them taking it.
Isn't that what you've just had with Wednesday, though? And didn't you love that?
Wednesday was awesome. Don't start slagging off Wednesday.
I just think, I don't know. I like the idea of it, but I just don't think there's enough material there to stretch it out over a series. Just give me a film. Just give me a new Casper film.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a film. Dark Harvest has been brought forward an entire year.
Mate, this is almost like the Stu Marker train. I'm getting so fed up with hearing about this now.
I started off, I said about Dark Harvest at the end of 2021 being the movie to watch in 2022, and they shelved it.
Yep.
I then said, it's great. They're definitely releasing it in 2024 because they'd confirmed it, and I was happy. We put it in for a new release next year. And then randomly out of the blue, a week ago, they dropped a trailer and they're releasing it on the 13th of October this year.
Does that not concern you a little bit?
Yes, it concerns me a lot that they're dropping it same week as The Exorcist. That worries me.
It's ambitious.
But in a way, to go up against The Exorcist so blatantly, it's bold in itself, really.
It's fucking stupid.
It's very stupid, if you ask me, but I think they must have a lot of confidence in their material to be able to deliver it on the same day as The Exorcist. The only thing that worries me about this is I've seen the trailer because you sent it to me immediately, and I was like, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on it. I have no reference to any of the source material, and for me, the trailer just kind of bloated its exposition a little bit and didn't make a lot of logical sense. So for somebody who has no reference to anything about this story, I was just kind of a little bit like, so that's like the Hunger Games at Halloween.
That's exactly what it is. It's they have to go out.
Oh, so that was right then.
Yeah, they have to go out and hunt the giant monster that plagues their fields, and they have to kill it by midnight or it will destroy their town. That is it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the trailer didn't hold back on the gore and stuff, and some of the kill sequences that we did sort of get a snippet of looked really cool. And there was that one scene where you got, I don't know who this guy is, this big pumpkin Jack Skeleton thing on fire, cool. And I was like, oh, that looks fucking awesome.
Yeah,
but I don't know. By the end of it, I just didn't feel compelled enough to be like, yes, take my money.
I'm glad they went rated R, and if they stick with some of the scenes that are in the book, there'll be some moments in here where everyone's going to go, shit, wow. Because like in the book, this thing, like they send droves and droves of people after October Boy. And
the name itself is just like, come
on. But he literally will rip limbs clean off and then use that limb to stab someone else. There's a scene in the book where he takes someone's arm off, and then he uses the arm to plunge through where their heart is and pushes the heart out the back of their chest.
Yeah, you see, that's cool. And when you say these moments that people are going to be like, holy shit, are we talking like Terrifier 1 and 2 kind of moments, or are we talking...
If they stick to the book, yes, there's a bit in the book where he picks someone up by their legs and tears them clean in half straight down the middle.
Oh, so yeah, exactly like Terrifier.
Yeah, so if they go that far, but I've got a horrible feeling they'll have dialed it back a bit.
It sounds like someone's put an episode of Goosebumps in a blender with a Mortal Kombat game, and I'm here for it.
That's exactly what the book is. The book, anyone who reads a lot, I would recommend Dark Harvest. It's very much like a Stephen King style dairy town. And then they just throw this giant slasher killer in the middle of it. It's very much that.
They should put your quote on the poster, Jim. Mortal Kombat and Goosebumps in a blender.
That'd sell it.
Honestly, if
sold me.
Yeah, if I saw the DVD cover Mortal Kombat, I'd pick it up and take it home. Now I feel I'm a little bit more back on track. We are today reviewing A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Now can we go into the opening scene now? Can we talk about the bus? Because I have questions about the bus.
Yes, please, let's get started. Right, where would you like to start?
I would like to start with Jesse Wallish's hair on this bus. Who done his hair?
Right. This is going to be such a hard film for us to discuss because I have so many things and theories that I want to dive into, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So it's going to be hard for me to do this as we go beat for beat. So I'm going to kind of go into it a little bit now without going too far into it if I can. So this first section, we see Jesse on the back of this bus, and he looks like an ex-band member of My Chemical Romance. Something we don't see him looking like for the rest of the film. He's very black-eyed. He's very awkward. He's sat at the back of the bus. He's all on his own. We later find on, obviously, without jumping too much into the gun, that this opening sequence is a dream sequence of Jesse's. Now, my interpretation of this is that this is how he perceives himself to the rest of the world. He's a very awkward kid. He doesn't feel appreciated. He's very much inside himself a lot of the time, and he doesn't feel valued or appreciated in terms of who he is as a person, which is why when we're in this dream sequences, this is why he pictures himself this way compared to obviously what he is like. He's a new kid in town. He's immediately very popular. All the girls are swooning after him, but in his own mind, he sees himself as this outcast kid who has no self-respect, which is why it's kind of jarring for people to see this and then see the rest of the film and think, surely that's a cock up on the side of the writers. But I don't think it is, and I don't know whether that's me looking too much into it because I love this film so much, or whether that's just how it was meant to originally be. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I completely agree. I mean, you can see it with him physically, even his body language, his posture, the way he sat at the back of the bus, just hunched over, and He's nervous, looking around. Yeah, you've nailed it. I completely agree.
Yeah. Now you've said it, I see it, and I didn't see it before. And I'm going to address the elephant in the room here. This is known as the one of the most homoerotic films ever made.
Yeah, not just in horror.
No, across the board. And the first time I watched this, I don't know, I was probably 15, 16 when I first watched this. I didn't catch any of that at all.
I didn't on my first watch. I didn't catch any of the homosexual undertones or anything.
No,
it was literally passed me by, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, like the gay overtones throughout this film." I was like, "What are you even talking about?" And then I went back and watched it again with that perspective, and I was like, "How the fuck did I miss this first time around?"
And I done exactly the same. So when I watched it back, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty much going look." And I genuinely first watch, I never saw it.
And this is one thing I love about this film. I think it's such a multi-layered movie. You can go into this movie with completely different perceptions and outlooks, and however you decide to watch it will dictate the narrative of the film. So you could go into watching this as a possession movie, and Freddy being the possessor of Jesse. You could go into watching this as Jesse being a closeted gay man and go for it that way. You could watch this in so many different perspectives, and each time you watch it, it plays out so differently, depending on what your perception is at the time. I think it's outstanding, I really do. And I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but it's kind of hard not to address those kind of things without saying them now.
Yeah, and this movie does something, you say it's multi-layered, which for a slasher in the 80s is fucking unheard of. They don't do that.
Yeah, no. But hence its cult status now.
Yeah. Freddy, we get the first look at Freddy because Freddy he goes off-roaded with the bus in the dream, and he ends up with what I can only describe. I'm not dogging on this film before anyone comes at me, but it is the shittest miniature of a bus on a little stand, teetering backwards and forwards, and that's when we get the reveal of Freddy. Freddy in this looks the best he's looked for in most of the films.
Oh, slimy Freddy, as I like to call him in this. He's very wet. The very wet Freddy. Did you notice that Robert Englund was driving the bus in the first place?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't on my first watch, don't get me wrong, but like multiple watches later, it is Robert Englund who opens the door at the beginning, and it's him driving the bus before he makes a transition into Freddy. Which, this is another thing about this film. This came out in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this film's set in 86, which is a completely different conversation altogether.
No. It's set in... Oh, hang on. The first one was...
Yeah, no, oh yeah, sorry, no, this is set in the future. Yeah, so 89. This is... It's 89, that's right. So this is set in the future, technically, but this came out a year after A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, like, you would never have picked up on that being Freddy Krueger originally, because nobody would have had no idea who Robert Englund was unless you knew his work prior to A Nightmare on Elm Street. So picking up on that now and seeing that, it's like, oh, that's cool. But in the cinema, everyone would have been like, oh yeah, he's just a normal bus driver. But really, we know now that that is the guy who plays Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't spot it on this watch. I've never spotted it, and now I need to go watch it again so I can see it. This is a dream sequence, and Jesse wakes up incredibly sweaty, which he does throughout this movie. I've never seen such a sweaty man. Every scene, he is coated in about an inch layer of sweat.
Yeah, drenched in it. So is Freddy. It must be very hot weather filming this.
Yeah. We go down to breakfast, where did anyone spot the most racist box of cereal I've ever seen in my life?
Yeah, the Fu Manchus. The Fu Manchu cereal. Like, I get what they were trying to do with the fingers to show Freddy, and that his sister was wearing the fingers, but you could have done that with any Halloween-based cereal. Which is true. You didn't need to go so racist with it.
I looked at it, and you catch a glimpse of it straight away, and I spotted it, and then I waited, and then there's a bit where she his little sister tips the box up, and she takes out the fake nails, which again is incredibly culturally insensitive and racist. And then she puts them on, and she does like the Freddy finger wiggle. I was like, that's a bit much.
Yeah, and they linger on that cereal box a lot of times as well. I'm like, man, you really shouldn't be broadcasting this.
And the family are horrible as well. The dad's just a dick. He's like, have you done your room yet? And I get the impression they've been there like a couple of days or a week at the most.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, I really don't buy this family as a convincing family dynamic, if I'm being honest with you. I don't really believe the relationships between them. They're very suburban America without the emotional connection between them. It's like, oh, you guys need to be like this. But then the believability of them kind of fades away a little bit. Like, you don't buy into the relationship of the mum and the dad. You don't buy into the fact that Jesse's their son. And I think that's really disappointing for this film. It's like the relationship between them all doesn't feel as convincing as I would like it to, especially considering how much everything else around it works. And I don't know whether that's a miscasting thing or not. It just, their chemistry between them all doesn't gel very well for me, I don't think.
No, which brings me on to a character that I find quite irritating. Jim, what's your thoughts on Lisa?
I don't mind her. I can see why she's what her role is. I don't want to go too much into it yet. But interesting, Mark, what you've just said about the family in this movie, because on paper, this is the only one in the franchise with a stable family unit. So one, you've got the alcoholic, and 3, 4, 5, the parents are all horrendous. Yet in this one, look at the happy family home. The unit's great and all that, but they're arguably...
It just doesn't work, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't sit.
No. And you mentioned Lisa, Meryl Streep from Wish. She's... I could have sworn, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, that's Meryl Streep. Why is she in this film? Like, that's a really young Meryl Streep in a Nightmare on Elm Street film. It obviously isn't. But I swear to God, she looks identical to her.
She rubs me the wrong way so much. From the moment she's on screen and she's like, oh, hi, it's Jessie here. It's like, go away. I dislike you immediately. And I don't know if that was the intent of the filmmakers, but like every time she talks, or every time she tries to interject or help, all that's going through my head is, go away, leave him alone. He doesn't like you.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, like, I wish somebody would just come forward and say the original intent of this movie, because nobody's willing to own up and say, 1 minute it's a homophobic film, which they've even said in the past. It's like, yeah, we were supposed to showcase homophobia, and then 1 minute it's a love story, and it's like, just say what your original intent was when you were creating this film, because we would get a much better grasp of the characters based on what you intended them to be. Because at the minute, like you say, Lisa doesn't really gel with anybody. As an audience, I don't think. I didn't particularly like her, and I was like, is that the intent of the film? Are you supposed to be like not warming to her character for purpose, or is it just because she's a poor actress? It's like, I don't know.
I don't think she's a poor actress. I just find like the way she is, she's quite an overbearing character, and she kind of takes charge a lot. And whenever she takes charge, it's like things were already in hand. They didn't need you to do it. Like later when she goes rummaging through shelves and finds Nancy's diary, it's like, what are you doing? Who asked you to? Why are you being nosy? Why are you here? And that's how I felt about it all the way through.
I can understand that completely. I mean, pushy is an understatement. Have either of you, I'm guessing you haven't seen Mark Patton's documentary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. Both seen it.
Oh, okay.
Brilliant documentary. Very brave man for doing what he did and confronting the people the way he did. It gave me a lot of respect for him, not only as an actor, but as a person, for the way that he delivered that documentary. I think it's very, very solid. And if anybody hasn't seen it, you need to go and watch it immediately.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, it put a completely different spin on, I would say probably more on him.
Yeah.
He really showcased himself, and I don't think he set out to do that, but just the way he is and the way he held himself, it showcased him as a person, and I think that's why I enjoyed it. Everything else around it was really interesting, but watching him go on this journey where, to start off with, he was fucking pissed off.
Oh yeah.
And at the end, he almost found peace with what had happened, and I really liked it.
I think it came off the back of, the big, was it around 2010, the big mammoth Nightmare on Elm Street franchise documentary that was made. You can almost
Never Sleep or something like that.
Yeah, that's the one. Never Sleep Again. Yeah, you can almost feel the tension, the jumping between the talking heads, that something wasn't right or unresolved, and then obviously that's what he set out to do with his version, his movie.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, his version is better.
Oh God, yeah.
The thing is, though, as well, like watching that documentary, the amount of gaslighting that guy receives throughout, not only in the production of this film, but even like when that documentary was made, they're there still just trying to say to him, just let it go, man, just move on. I'm like, this film destroyed this guy's career, his personal life, and everything else around it. You know, it caused him to go into isolation. It's like, how can you sit there and tell him to move on? And I just think the way he handles it and the way he handles himself throughout that documentary is just so empowering in a way, and I think everybody really needs to go and see it, regardless of whether you've watched this film. I don't think you need to have watched this film to have seen that documentary.
No, he does a really, really good job, and it's a great documentary. If you've not seen it, go and see it. In fact, what I'll do is, because there's quite a few places you can rent it, when I release this episode, I'll put the link for that documentary if you've not seen it in the episode description. Moving on from that, because that could be an entire episode on its own quite easily. Yeah. Shall we talk about baseball and the most abusive school teacher in the world?
Yes. And jock straps as well. Can we talk about jock straps for a minute? Because I've never experienced a jock strap before.
No, in this country, we wear cups, which effectively do the same thing, but they come without the thong attachment. They just they just literally get pushed down and they cup over it, which works. But in the States, they get a whole piece of underwear with a bit that goes like round the back and up the arse, and I don't think that's necessary. If you have worn a jockstrap, I would like to hear your jockstrap horror stories, because I'm sure there are a lot. This starts off with them playing baseball. And I'm going to say it, Jesse can't play baseball for shit because he gets hit in the head with a ball straight away.
And knocked out.
And then when he gets up, he gets tackled to the ground and has his pants pulled down. It's an odd scene. And then the coach comes over and pulls them apart and hits us with a line that I never thought I'd ever hear a teacher say: assume the position. And then both boys get on their hands and knees. I was like, what's going on? The teacher's awful. That teacher is so abusive.
Yeah, man. Very, very bad man.
He's a bad dude, and it comes very apparent later how much of a bad dude he is. But like, even straight away, did anyone else notice the amount of Adidas that was dripping off of him?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't. No.
T-shirt, tracksuit bottoms, and shorts. It's Coach Schneider, sponsored by Adidas, or if you're in the States, Adidas.
That's one thing that makes me laugh these days when you go back and watch the Alien franchise. As we spoke earlier, I've literally just blasted through the lot of them. That is like Reebok everywhere. Like Ripley's got like Reebok trainers. Even the androids have all got Reebok trainers. It's just Reebok everywhere. I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, if you're going to advertise something, put Reebok on Ripley and on an android. Yeah, 100%. If you're Adidas, at what point do you go, yeah, can we just cover the really abusive teacher in all of our merchandise? That's the image we want to sell. Yeah. Thanks.
Winky pervert teacher.
Yeah. Their little bromance that starts to develop while they're doing push-ups. Yeah, it's really strange. So that they kind of dislike each other. They've had a bit of a tussle. Then through this, I don't know, self-help moment where they're doing push-ups, he's like, why don't you like me? He's like, I don't like you. It's not I don't like you. I think you're quite cool. Well, I think you're cool too. It's like, okay, right. So you've just made friends and now you're like best of buddies.
Yeah, no, I get this. I completely get this. And I think this is really authentic. Like, I've had times when I was at school where we'd have like new kids come in and you have to kind of test the water with them and assert authority and that kind of thing. And then you'll spend a moment where you've done that kind of authority testing and you both end up in detention. And then you find out you both actually really like each other. You know, this isn't something where they've been bullying each other. Yeah, they've not been bullying each other for like years. Jesse's a new kid in school. This is the first interaction with one another. Brady's just, is it Brady or Gady?
Grady.
Brady's just testing the water. Oh, Grady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grady's just testing the water to see if he's like up to the shoving and pushing. They do, and then later on they're sat chilling and they get to spend time together and find out, actually, you know what, we're both the same person.
Yeah,
I didn't find anything wrong with this interaction at all.
No, it was okay, and I don't know. I just found it was really quick. Maybe I've got a warped memory of my childhood, but I don't ever remember bonding with people. Maybe I'm just not a nice guy.
Maybe. Well, it's taking you this long to realise that.
Yeah, maybe I didn't bond with people because I just wasn't nice. Jesse has another nightmare, and we get the first face-to-face between Jesse and Freddy. This is absolutely fabulous. This is Robert Englund at his best. He's menacing. He's scary. The practical effects work in this movie are outstanding.
Yeah.
And his interaction with Jesse is unlike anything he's ever done before. And he never does this again, where he tries to make a bond with someone.
Yeah.
He tries to bond going, well, you've got the looks and I've got the brains, and then peels back half his skull. It's like, that's cool.
Oh.
So where are you guys on terms of continuity? So excluding anything after this, so don't even think about Dream Warriors 4, 5, and Freddy's Dead. Just ignore all of those. Coming off the back of the first film, what are your guys' take on how this plays out and where Freddy is? Like, because he's in Nancy's house. We know that he's back in Nancy's house at this point. Where does this stand with you guys in terms of continuity? Because for me, I was a bit confused. I was like, why is he trapped in Nancy's house? Like, he didn't kill anyone in that house. It just feels weird to me that he's trapped in that location as opposed to the sort of nuclear plant, which we go to later on, where he did all of his killings and his molestations or whatever, which we find out later on. Why is there an attachment to him, and why is he trapped in this location? Is that because that's where he was defeated at the end of the first one, or?
Well, see, I've never really given that much thought, but that would make sense if one simple line about that, and it would have, right onwards. Let's get on with the movie. Yeah. He's stuck here because of X, Y, Z. Now we need Jesse to move on. But yeah, it's never addressed, and I don't think people really question it that much when they're talking about the franchise, do you?
No, not really, but it kind of is my job to do that on this podcast.
Yeah. see, for me, it makes sense to me, and like a lot of people will question why all of a sudden is he trying to possess people. That seems to be the biggest. I don't like it because he changed what he is, and I'm going to answer that now. Really, really easy and really simple. He went up against Nancy Thompson and her friends, fighting them in his dreams. And Nancy Thompson kicked his fucking ass. Mm-hmm. He went back to whatever part of the netherworld of the dreams that he went to and went, that didn't work. Yeah, I need to try something new. So
that was exactly my take on it as well.
He come back and he tried something different because he's failed once, and he's not a stupid killer. He's not a Jason Voorhees who's just a mindless killing machine. He's actually sat and thought about it, gone, I didn't like that, I lost. How can I do something else? Let's try something else. And that's why it makes sense. And I think he is trapped there because he was killed there. So that's naturally where he's got his most power. So all of that made sense to me.
Just one simple line of dialogue would have cleared that up nicely.
Because I think that's a lot of problems that people have with this film, is that it doesn't continue on with the formula that Freddy's well known for. But realistically, this is only coming out after the first film. There isn't a set formula at this point. This is a second installment. So this is a second attempt. And his first attempt failed, so he's trying something new. So for me, I was like, that's cool. It's nice that he's doing that kind of reevaluating and trying something different, and I thought that really worked for me in this film. And I think one of the biggest things that this film suffers from in terms of fan base is how quickly this film came out. This was pushed out in like just under a year after the release of the first film, so we didn't, or at least the writers and the producers, obviously by the time the first film had come out, they went straight back to the drawing board. They wrote Freddy's Revenge. It was filmed, shot, produced, edited, and then released in less than a year after Nightmare 1. They didn't really know what necessarily worked enough from that first film in order to produce a sequel so quickly. And I think they made a lot of missteps on that side of things. in terms of the score, in terms of the lore. But for what they did in such a short period of time, it kind of worked for me in that sense. But I do get why diehard fans of this franchise were annoyed by this film.
Yeah, but people have an issue with the lore changing in this. It's like, have you watched the rest of the movies? Freddy has, when you get further down the line, Freddy's got powers that there's no explanation for his powers, but he just can.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. This is the most ludicrous franchise in horror.
I'm not being funny. At no point in this franchise does Busta Rhymes ever show up and kick Freddy's ass.
All right, okay, you have that one.
We're going into Mark's favourite scene. That a poll today that we released has decided that Mark will recreate this scene for us in an Instagram reel. The unpacking and dancing, which is brilliant and so entertaining, but it's just like everything he's doing. That there's a point where it focuses on his groin for a good minute as he's thrusting, and he's got like a cork gun. And anyone who doesn't know what a cork gun is, go and Google it. It was a toy we had when we were younger. And he's firing a cork gun. And this scene is fabulous. I absolutely love this scene.
Yeah, and I think this was more a case of Tom Cruise in the floor in Risky Business worked really well, so let's try that here. And I think that's where they've drawn inspiration from. A lot of people disliked it. I thought it was fucking brilliant. It's my favourite scene in this entire film. I think it's great. So fun, so lighthearted, and it gives you that break that you kind of need from such a raw and gritty film. I think it worked really well in the context of this movie.
Yeah, well, you go straight from Freddy, the meeting of Freddy first, and like Freddy's really dark and nasty, and then you go into this really light-hearted scene straight after. It just works. It's really good. I really, really like it.
And the song is a banger.
Oh,
hold
brilliant.
me, baby, touch me, baby, touch me
all night long. We should release that.
We should. So Jesse's full on hip thrusting, and he does a jump off his bed where he pops his cork, and this is where Lisa comes in and fucking ruins another scene. She's brought him.
I like this.
Yeah, they look at him like, "What are you doing?"
It's Jesse's face. Like, it's so natural, his awkwardness when they walk through the door, and he's like, fuck.
Yeah, let's be honest. We've at one time or another, I imagine all of us have been caught doing something we probably shouldn't be doing, and we've all done the shit.
Oh, mate, this is a regular occurrence for me in my house. I have like Alexas in every room, so when I'm like, Alexa, play blah 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 blah. Shit, don't you just
blah blah blah.
fucking. I knew I should. As soon as the word came out of my mouth, I knew I shouldn't have done that. So I will put the music on really, really loud for every room in my house, and then like you can guarantee, as soon as I'm in like mid floor sweep, somebody will come in to me rocking out to something.
Yeah, I picture you're very much not so much Jesse, more Hugh Grant.
Oh yes, definitely. Jump for your love.
Yeah. This is where Lisa goes full on nosy and starts rummaging through the shelves, and they find Nancy's diary, which this is the only thing I've got a continuity / plot issue with. Why is her diary left on the shelf? Why has everything else been cleared out? They've put their own stuff on the shelves, but Nancy's diary's there. That's the only thing I go, but why? Why?
And not only that, though, but why at what point in the Nightmare on Elm Street 1 did she have time to diary any of this? I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street 1. She did not have the time to write this shit down.
No, and at what point does Lisa go, there's a diary, let's read it? Is that a girl thing that I just don't understand?
Maybe.
I don't know. I would probably read it.
You would. If I had a diary and you found it, you would read it.
Oh my fucking god. If you had a diary and I could get access to that shit, you know full well I would read it.
I don't have a diary. This then leads us into I don't know what you call it. It's
But the thing is, as well, about the diary, that only serves one purpose, and that is for Lisa to go and investigate.
Yeah.
That could have been thrown away so much cooler and so much better. Like, I don't know, for instance, there was like a crack in the wall and they pulled out a newspaper article about Freddy Krueger and the house and stuff like that. That would have been more in keeping, or I don't know, anything. It's an old computer, like you go to the library and you get them slideshow things that you used to get of news articles. A scene like that would have been more fitting than trying to incorporate Nancy and this diary into this film, I think, because they find the diary, they read it, they cut to something else, and then the next thing they're moving to a power plant where Freddy was, and it's like, it doesn't explain that they've gone there based on Lisa's investigation from taking the diary from Jesse's house and studying it and reading it, which has led her to this power plant.
Yeah, and the power plant scene is so quick as well. It's like they're there for like 5 minutes and there's nothing really that happens.
Nothing happens. They find a rat and that's it.
That's just somewhere for them to go at the end of the movie. But the diary, that is the ultimate wasted opportunity in the entire franchise for me. Purely because, like we said earlier, they read it and it says, what do they say? Oh, it's from 5 years ago. So this means this movie takes place, in 89?
Yeah.
So Dream Warriors takes place 6 years after the first movie. So it's completely plausible that Jesse could have been in the hospital in Dream Warriors as one of...
Which would have been much better for Dream Warriors.
Yeah, it would have been brilliant. And that's what bugs me about this scene more than anything else.
But the thing is about that diary as well is like the lore of Freddy is based on his... If people don't talk about him, he can't come back. Is that right?
Yeah.
So if you got this diary and you could have used that as like the heart of Freddy, they open this diary, they start reading it, and that influences his return. That would have been a much better way to incorporate the diary into this film.
Yeah. There is one thing I want to address that happened shortly after this. The parakeet.
Oh, God.
What the fuck, man?
It's so there's some parakeets in a cage and they're flying around, and then one of them flies around and just explodes.
Well, we should really explain the fact that this house suffers with temperature control, and that's obviously due to Freddy's presence. He seems to have this superpower in this movie that wherever he is, the climate rises drastically to a certain temperature, and everything is immediately really, really hot. Throughout the film, we always get Jesse saying to his dad that the AC needs fixing, this house is too hot, that's why he's having night terrors, that's why he can't sleep. And that's sort of what's happening with this parakeet scene. Is he walks up to the thermostat and he's like, holy shit, it's like 90 degrees in this house. What the fuck's going on? And then the birds under the cover start freaking out, which is obviously them boiling in their own blood within this cage. It just didn't come across well enough to justify it.
When it exploded, I chuckled. Went, exploding bird, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And on paper, it makes sense. But it's like, well, if the bird's blood's boiling to the point of explosion, how are these people suffering these temperatures as well?
It's just bizarre. And this leads us into where this movie really takes a strange turn, where Jesse goes for a wander and Jesse goes to a local bar. Where we meet the coach again. Anyone want to talk me through how this bar is and what this bar looks like?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
go on, Jim, you take this.
Oh, yeah, straight to me.
yeah, go on, Jim. This is your wheelhouse. You're into this, aren't you?
Well, I want to know how, A, they let him in, B, they hand him a drink, because aren't they kind of strict with laws in the States, but I guess anything goes in a place like this.
Yeah, they
you
did
say that, but I think at the time of the 80s, you actually had to be 18 to drink. I think it's only been not necessarily a recent thing, but I think back in the 80s, you only had to be 18. I may be wrong. All Americans, please let me know if I'm incorrect with this. But I don't think it's always been 21. I think it was 18. But he would pass for an 18-year-old.
Well, he could, yeah. But the bartender that hands him the beer, which he doesn't pay for, the guy playing the bartender is actually the producer. What the fuck?
Have a sip of your beer. It seems to help for me. Trust me.
The guy that serves him the drink is the producer, Robert Shea.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
This bar is so leather clad. This is so... they've taken it to the extreme where it's almost pushed too far. It's almost like the Blue Oyster Bar from Police Academy. It's that level of leather, and his coach is in there, and what his coach is wearing is just, it's a crime. That guy should not be wearing that.
It's a Freddie Mercury video, Living on My Own. This is exactly what this bar is. It is drenched in leather and fluorescent lights and handkerchiefs in certain pockets. I'm referring back to our Killer Condom episode there.
Yes, that all mean different things. But the teacher doesn't like I was expecting this to be the teacher being a bit creepy, maybe coming on to him, but he tells him off and then marches him back to the school in all of his leather gear and makes him start running laps. It's like,
right, let me just say this now.
Wow.
If you are under the age of 16 and you are still in school and a teacher takes you back to school after hours and makes you run laps and then makes you get a shower, you need to go and seek help immediately. They do not have the authority to do this, and they should not be in your presence. No. This is so wrong on so many levels.
And it is the only kill in the entire franchise where Freddy is fully justified in everything that he does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, with this scene, I want to ask you guys, because you get to the point where the coach has sent Jesse to the showers, and then he goes and he's like testing the strength of skipping ropes. I believe the intention was to rape Jesse at this point. Is that what you guys took from it?
Well,
I think he was going to
definitely sexual.
Yeah, it definitely was planning on doing something untoward to Jesse in this scene. Hence, I think, and I think that kind of justifies Freddy's sort of emergence in this scene and coming forth and taking this guy out. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the guy went out how he probably wanted to. He was slapped by balls and whipped to death. I don't know. I think he probably enjoyed it.
How did you read my mind? Because I was about to say this scene has everything. It has balls in the face and bondage. But this kill is actually brutal. Like, he whips him with a skipping rope. He barrows him with basketballs first, then whips him with a skipping rope, and then you get the kill. And then you see Jesse wearing the Freddy glove that stabbed him. And then Jesse lets out a scream, which I did not expect to come out of Jesse.
No,
it's yesing, isn't it?
It's really kind of like you go, shit. I didn't.
I think that little bit more terrifying because it is a man. I don't know what you think.
I mean, they refer to it a lot in the Scream Queen documentary about how there's like, because he was like, he screams like a girl. That's the only way to describe it in this moment. He screams like a woman. I don't want to get into the documentary again without diverging too much, but he's like, the director and the writer was always like, oh, well, we never told you to scream like a girl in this scene. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's weird, and it's very unfair to Mark Patton in this instance for the way it's portrayed, I think.
Yeah.
But if any of us were in that position, this horrible, life-threatening, terrifying, I don't think we'd be conscious, I need to scream like a man. Whatever came out of you would just come out. It's
Yeah, I 100% would be doing a Ned Flanders scream in this situation. The return, when he's taken back home by the cops, this is the most awkward scene ever. Like, he's half naked, he's wrapped in a blanket. I think you see his parents open the door, and they've got that look that I've seen from my parents, where it's like, we're not angry, we're just really disappointed in you right now.
Yeah.
It's
and
horrible.
Their immediate reaction is to say, are you taking drugs?
Yeah, which I guess if your son's just been returned from a gay bar and a murder scene, half naked would probably be one of the questions that would be coming to the surface if it was one of my kids. I think it would be lingering there going, are you okay? I don't think you're okay.
But again, it just depends how you perceive this film as well. If he is a closeted gay man, and the fact that the parents' immediate reaction is to say, "Are you taking drugs?" is just another highlight of the underlying messages within this film. And I just think, I don't know, man. It's so hard to try and find a straight through narrative with this movie.
No pun
and it goes from here. Like Jesse now, he's been plagued by a couple of dreams. We've had hot and sweaty Jesse more times than Jesse wants. And he starts drinking full fat Coke and taking effectively Pro Plus that were called stay up tablets. And this is leading into the party.
But the thing is with that, though, and he's doing all this to stay awake, but there's no reference to dream sequence inhabitation in this film, and that's why it doesn't make logical sense. It's just a misstep in the writing, as far as I'm concerned. Like, Freddy's not inhabiting dreams like he did in the first one in this movie.
No, but he is still doing it. See, there's been a couple of times where Jesse's had dream-like sequences, like when he finds the glove down in the basement and then he wakes up. The whole sequence where he's at the school, it's like he's not sure if he's awake or not, because he has that moment where he kind of almost snaps awake holding the glove. So I think it's almost like a precaution from Jesse. He's like, I'm not sure if I'm awake or dreaming when this shit's going on, so I'm going to make sure I stay awake just in case. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, certainly with the first view of this movie, at that point in the movie, we're just as confused as he is. We don't really know what the lore is, what's going on, what's real, No,
it's wild, but I didn't at any point go, I don't understand this leap. I kind of got that. And this is all at the party. So there's a big party that's happening at Lisa's house, and Lisa's parents have way too much money. That house is immense. And Lisa starts coming on to Jesse and they start kissing. The tongue is just like, ugh. And it's, again, a great practical effect. He sticks his tongue out and it's not a normal tongue. It's a long Freddy tongue. And his reaction's brilliant. He just like hand over his mouth like, shit, what's going on? And then he runs away. He runs off.
And again, though, like if you're looking at the gay undertones within this film, this is him like fighting against like his, well, this is what I should be doing, but inside I know that this is not what I want to do because I'm gay.
Yeah,
and it's
and he goes to see Grady. And
immediately runs to his best friend / love interest, Grady.
Yeah,
hunky new friend who happens to be in his underwear in his bedroom.
He's a very, very hunky man, is Grady. I'm not.
I'm not. To be fair, both of them at this time in their life were both hunky men. Can't take that away from either of them. I like this scene. Grady's really like, what's the matter? He's what a friend should be doing, and this is where we get arguably the best practical effect from the entire 80s. Not just this franchise, the entire 80s. The Freddy merge into Jesse. This is incredible. It's done so well where you see him coming out of Jesse. It's such a good...
just from the smallest in the start of it, where you see Jesse screaming against a wall and he opens his mouth and you see Freddy's eyeball within the inside of him, and it's like, oh, that's fucking awesome. And then next thing you know, you get Robert Englund's face like protruding from his chest before he slashes it with the glove. And Freddy just creeps out from within him, and it's like, wow, that is amazing. And it still, to this day, holds up better than most. I watched this morning, and I thought, wow, that is fucking incredible. Really, really cool. And the best thing about this as well is Freddy emerges, and he creates his own glove, like the spiky thing, the claws that come out from his fingertips. I'm like, that is the best Freddy glove ever.
Yeah, I genuinely love this scene, and I kind of like how they do this as well. So he kills Grady. He's very merciless with Grady. It's like, you're dead. And then you get the reflection in the mirror. It's Freddy. And then Freddy almost gives like a little wave. And it's not Freddy no more. It's Jesse. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And as an audience watching this, you're going, shit, has he done it now? Is Jesse now Freddy? And it's for me, as a big fan of this franchise, this is a moment where I'm like, this is the way they should have gone.
Yep.
They should have kept this possession I mean, you take Dream Warriors, still have all the dream sequences in there, but then have times where Freddy is possessing various different people in the real world in that scenario, and that movie becomes a whole hell of a lot scarier.
Immediately. And that's one of the strongest elements in this film, as far as I'm concerned. I have something that I want to say about it and how I feel that it could be done better, but I'm going to save that till we get to the party sequence. So just remember that when we talk about this scene in particular and the coach killing scene earlier on, when we get to the pool party scene, how I feel like this should have been translated better to us as an audience for it to be more impactful.
Which is good, because we're pretty much there, because Jesse runs back
I was
to
kind
the
of
party.
hoping you would be.
Yeah. Jesse runs back to the party and confesses everything to Lisa. And again, I find this really strange. Lisa's she must be so infatuated with this guy. She's like, it just doesn't matter. We'll get over it. What?
Yeah.
You just turned up. There's a guy just turned up at your house covered in blood saying he's killed someone. You're like, it's fine. We'll get through this. That is not a we'll get through this moment. That is a shit, I'm going to call the police moment.
But she's infatuated with this guy, isn't she?
Yeah, and this is where we get Freddy emerges again. We get a little bit of silliness where he's chasing Lisa around. That, I'll be honest, it served a purpose, but I wasn't overly sold on it. What I am sold on is the massacre that Freddy then proceeds to go on. The scene where he jumps through the window into the garden is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then he comes into the garden. I watched this scene 4 or 5 times and tried to count up how many people he kills, and it's endless. He slashes a few. He turns the swimming pool into a pool of fire. He throws some bloke over the barbecue and then flames come up behind. He's killing everyone. And then he hits us, like everyone's trying to frantically get away. And he stands up, opens his arms and goes, "You are all my children now."
Yep.
Which,
brilliant. One of the most iconic scenes in the franchise.
Yeah, and it works perfectly, because all he ever wanted was the children of Elm Street. And now he's got them. You are all my children now. And I emphasize that because I had a conversation with someone on TikTok and their biggest issue was that scene. So now I've explained it to you and I know you're listening. That's why it happened.
Yeah.
I feel better. I feel better.
So now I'm going to completely contradict and fuck up all your theories and so on. So I mentioned earlier how you can perceive this film in many different ways and many different angles depending on how you go into it from the start. Now, one of my biggest theories around this film, and one that I kind of tend to lean towards more than anything else, is the fact that Freddy's not even in this film at all. And this is Mike Patton battling with his own inner demons and him losing his mind and slowly just losing control. Something that you get a lot of references to in terms of he thinks he's seeing Freddy in the mirror, but in fact, it's actually him who killed Grady. You've also got it with the coach where you find out that the coach is dead and then it's him stood there with the glove on at the end. And then this battle between him and Lisa, where she's like, just don't do this, we can sort this. And she's trying to call him back into reality throughout this battle between her and Freddy. And then again, as he bears through into this pool party, just losing his complete mind. Like, if you take Freddy out of the equation completely and just imagine that Freddy's all in Jesse's head and this is Jesse committing these acts, it makes it so much more of an interesting movie. Because at the end of the day, it's not black and white. Regardless of how much you want to write this down, this film is not black and white, and you can perceive this in any way you want. But for me, I think one thing that would have made this film a hell of a lot better is if in those scenes where you've got the coach scene, you've got the Grady scene, you've got the battle with Lisa, and you've also got the pool party scene, is if we saw a POV from other people. So if you saw a POV from Lisa, but instead of it being Freddy, it was actually Jesse. So even though we as an audience are seeing Freddy on screen, but if you look at it from Lisa's eyes and she's seeing Jesse committing these acts and battling, saying that Freddy's trying to come out of him and trying to do these things, but it's actually still Jesse going crazy, if you will. I think that was awesome. And I know I'm probably on an island with this idea, but I just think for me, watching this so many times and watching it from so many different angles, if you look at it from that side of things and see it as Jesse is actually the killer, the whole time, and it's him just trying to fight within himself, it makes it so much more interesting. And I think that would have been a really cool angle to show that when you're at the pool party and all the people at the party looking at Jesse bursting through the window, having a big fight with Lisa, or Grady trying to talk Jesse down after the fight at his bedroom, because again, with the gay overtones, he's gone to Jesse because he's been trying it on with Lisa. It wasn't for him, so he's gone to Jesse. Grady has confessed his love for him. Grady's pushed him away and he's killed him in an act of violence. That would have been so cool. And then we get the big reveal at the end. I don't know. Am I just losing my mind with this theory, or do you think that's something that would work quite well?
I think it's brilliant. It's so much sharper. I would love to see it from Lisa's perspective. Absolutely. That would be really quite interesting.
Yeah, I think that would work really cool for this story.
I think the only stumbling block would be the ending.
I don't think so. I think if anything, the ending works more with my theory than anything else.
Oh, yeah,
should we save it till we get there?
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah. Oh, you've really annoyed me now. You've completely flipped a movie. I completely flipped.
Right, that's it. Mic drop. See you later. Cheers, guys. See you next week.
You've completely flipped how I perceive a movie that I've perceived in the same way for the last 15 years.
I love this movie, and there's a reason why I love this movie.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Cool, right?
Yeah, it's very cool. From here, we're sticking with it's Freddy, because that's how it is in my head. Freddy goes to the power plant. Lisa follows. There's this standoff with Lisa and Freddy, and the only way I can describe this, and it's something that I find really dumb and really stupid, but now with Mark's theory, it really works, which really irritates me. Lisa kills Freddy with kindness. She's overly nice to Freddy to draw Jesse out. Freddy catches on fire, turns into a big hard cocoon that Jesse punches out of. And yes. I hated that ending, but now you've explained it that way, that makes sense, because she's won the battle with Jesse, and it's more representational of him finding peace with it than, I hate it.
Because for me, at this ending battle scene where they come together and she's saying all these things to Jesse, and Jesse's saying, I love you too, and all that lot, it's not a case of him loving for her in a romantic way. It's a case of him accepting who he is as a person, as maybe as a homosexual man, if you choose to perceive it that way, and her acceptance of him as who he is as a person, and them both coming together, and him fighting his demons, knowing that she's on his side and wanting to accept him for who he is as a person, and together being his gay best friend, if you will, in a way. And for me, that works so much better in the context of this story and brings it all together full circle. I should have fucking written this movie.
We end this movie where we started, back on the school bus. I love the ending scene. The ending scene is so cheesy, and it's so out of tone with the rest of the movie that Freddy is the bus driver again, and they just fucking career off-road. Credits roll. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But perfect ending for me. It leaves Freddy alive. It leaves lots of questions about what happens, and I wish they'd answered those in Dream Warriors, but they didn't. But as an ending for this is an ending that instantly makes me want to watch what comes next.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
Saying without a shadow of a doubt, we are without a shadow of a doubt going to have lots to say in our roundups. But before we get there...
Zoinks! 3-word reviews, man!
3-word reviews this week were... lots of them were incredibly cringy. Incredibly cringy to the point that they just didn't make the show. Remember, when we're asking for 3-word reviews, we want you to review the movie, or at least reference the movie, not just reference its subject matter. So anyone who gave reviews like that, I actually DM'd you all individually and asked what the fuck you're going on about. So you all know who you are. Do better. Just do much better, please. But we have got quite a few. We're going to start with TikTok. We've got Nikki Vicious PDX, best dance scene. And they're a horror account. We've got Haunted Under the Moon. Freddy's Got Possessive. They're a mixed fandom account. Fright Night Foodie. Homoerotic Slash Fest. They're a horror lover and vlogger, and that's one of the most accurate 3-word reviews we've ever had. Over on Threads, Bloody Production, Frightfully Entertaining Ride, and they're an author. Video Tasties, the VHS version scarier.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know the VHS version was any different.
Nor did I. And
I own the VHS version. I've watched the VHS version. I don't think it's any different.
Oh,
please clarify, Gareth.
Yeah, Gareth, you need to call the show and explain why it's scarier, or is it just scarier because the quality's worse? Oh.
Most probably no, Gareth.
Slasher app. We've got Carrie's Casket, Two-Bodied Nightmare. I like that one. We've got Jerry Dandridge, The Gayest Freddy Movie. Again, fairly accurate. Over on Instagram, the Horror Movie Guy 76 deserves more credit, and they're an 80s and 90s nostalgia nerd. Cecil Candy Bottom, who's a giant candy corn. If anyone's not following Cecil, go follow Cecil. Cecil Candy Bottom is a hilarious account. They've gone with A Great Nightmare. Bloody Babble, groundbreaking horror, and they're a horror and music account. Lady Crisis has gone with Freddy's Coming Out.
Brilliant.
And that's Lady Crisis, queen of TikTok, who amazingly, after having a baby not that long ago, is pumping out more video content than anyone I've ever seen. and not only just pumping content out, but now has brought her beautiful baby into the video content, and her baby does voiceovers going, the movies me and my mum have watched this week.
That's amazing.
Fucking fantastic. And finally, Dewey Pod Monster, who's a horror podcast like us, Spontaneous Combustion Parakeet.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, spot on. Thank you, everyone who gave 3-word reviews this week. Mark, who is this week's recommended account of the week? And would you like some music?
I always want music.
Okay, here you go.
Recommended account of the week.
So this week's recommended account is Never Stay Dead. Never Stay Dead is an artist on Instagram. Obviously, as you know me, it's always Instagram. What's interesting about this guy is he does doodles, basically. And I don't mean to undermine you in any way by calling them doodles, but he does doodles, but his reels are the most entertaining thing I've ever seen. He basically is Jack Black reincarnated. He doodles, and as he's doodling his doodles, he basically sings over the top of them in a very Jack Black Tenacious D-esque way, describing his picture and the meaning behind the picture. I'm not selling it in any way, and I do this every week, but if you go and watch them, you will understand exactly what I'm referring to. It's a lot of fun. It always lightens my day when I see one of his videos pop up in my feed, and I think a lot of you guys would get enjoyment from it as well. So you can find him on Instagram as Never Stay Dead, all one word, no underscores or anything in between. It's a lot of fun. He considers himself the unhinged Bob Ross, and if that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will.
That sells me. To be fair, though, I've always believed that Bob Ross is painting the locations where he's buried his victims.
You may get that on True Crime one day.
That would be, if Bob Ross come out as a serial killer, all of his paintings are where he's buried victims. That would be the biggest true crime case in the world ever.
Can you imagine?
He's painted a lot of pictures.
They would have.
He's basically painted a map.
Yeah. Jesus. Let's do some facts.
Hey, Scoob. It's time for facts, bro.
Mark Patton was booked to appear on this show. Here's a fact that no one knew.
Yep.
Me and Mark were up many times to record with Mark. Mark was unable to make the show, and then he fell ill. And that show kind of just fell by the wayside. I've spoken to Mark recently. He's doing much better. He was at a convention this weekend just gone. So I'm pleased that he's up and healthy. But that is a fact that you will not find anywhere else but here. But Mark Patton was booked to come and join us to do this exact episode.
We had this scheduled, I think it was about a year ago now, was it not? We had Mark booked in to do the show. We waited up till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning to get him on. And unfortunately, he literally suffered, as many of you who know do follow him on social media, he had a big bout of poor illness recently. And we kind of caught him on the beginning tail end of that. And he was very excited to come on, very excited to talk about this film with us. He's listened to a few episodes of the show and he was very geared up to do it. And unfortunately, it was just all a matter of bad timing. And hopefully one day in the future, he may come back and we may be able to talk to him again about this movie.
Yeah, but that's an exclusive fact to us. Mark Patton is an openly gay actor. Everyone knew that. But at the time, he wasn't. And he deemed himself, when he come out, as the first male scream queen. And this is basically, he dubbed himself that. That wasn't something that was given to him. And he done that because he understood all of the undertones of this movie and the things he was asked to do. And when he dubbed himself as that, lots of people involved in this movie hit him with a lot of backlash. And he stood his ground and then went on to do the Scream Queens documentary. The man's a legend.
Yeah.
Absolute legend.
Nothing but respect for him.
No, nothing at all. This film done really well in Europe, not so well in the United States. This is down to the fact that the Europeans picked up on the sexual overtones that the Americans missed.
You say that, but this grossed higher than A Nightmare on Elm Street 1.
It did, but this
was more successful than the first film.
A lot of its grossing was European-based, not US-based. It didn't do as well in the US. So Wes Craven refused to work on this film because he said there should never be a sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street. He wrote it as a one and done, and he didn't like the idea of Freddy manipulating the protagonist to commit murders. He said it blurred the line between good and evil.
But Freddy is evil.
Yeah, but by making the good guy do the killings, it blurred the line, and Wes didn't like that. He liked having a clear cut. That's the baddie, that's the goodie.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
The scene with the possessed parakeet is actually based on another movie. They took the idea from The Birds from 1963. They had the idea of doing this, and the director fought to get this cut, fought like mad, because he said, this is goofy as fuck and it doesn't fit the tone of my movie. I want it out. And that's a battle he lost with producers.
We got the biggest laugh throughout this episode talking about the parakeet.
This is very true.
I think the director was onto something with that.
There is a link between this and the It movies. Did anyone spot it?
No.
So I'm going to read this word for word because it was quite complicated. It makes sense, but I'm going to read it word for word. So where Jesse is dancing and Lisa is reading Nancy's diary, he's wearing a light yellow button-down shirt with a black cross shapes. In It Chapter 2, Richie wears exactly the same shirt. It's also the remake is exactly the same shirt. It's also done this way. So It Chapter 2 took inspiration from this because Richie's character is also a closeted gay man, as Jesse's character is in this as well.
That's pretty cool.
I thought it was really cool. Anyone want to take a guess at how much this cost them to make in 1985?
It's not as much as you might think.
Go on, have a stab at it.
10 million.
13.
You're both wrong and you're both way out. $3 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How much do you reckon it took worldwide?
I already know the answer to this.
Okay, so you can't play.
No.
Is it like 32 million or something?
Really close. 29.9. To put that into perspective, if you put that in today's money, this had a $12 million budget and made $130 million. This movie made a fortune.
And you see, the thing is as well with that, though, I don't feel like that is because of this movie, because this did not sit well with the audience upon its release. I think that is because of the tail end of the success of the first Nightmare movie. Yeah, and everyone saw the first one and was like, oh, there's a sequel, let's go watch that.
Yeah, and the same argument could be made for It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. It Chapter 1 was fabulous.
You can make that argument for any movie with a sequel, of course.
Yeah, unless you're talking about Aliens, which is better than Alien. But that's a different story.
Yeah, we need to do that because that is a very, very hot topic.
This is the part where we usually do the 10-word takedown. There is no taking down of this movie. I did not even have the balls to put out, take this movie down in 10 words, because do you know the 10 words I'd have got? They'd have all been 10 words telling me fuck off. So instead, we're going to do something new. So over the last 12 weeks, everyone has been entering in various different ways and taking on challenges to win merchandise. And you've been sharing stuff and you've been flooding the internet with Twilight and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things that we've asked you to do. I was originally going to do this on a spin wheel, but I literally have not a free day now, a free evening between now and the end of November. And I don't want you all to wait that long. So I have written down every single time someone has entered, I've written your name down on a spreadsheet. Those are numbered 1 to 308. So there are people who've got their name on there multiple times. There's people who've got their name on there 1 time, 2 times, 10 times. There's a couple who there who've got their name on there 12 times because they played every single week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Jim to pick a number between 1 and 308, and I'm going to open my spreadsheet.
See, I'm nervous about doing this because I should be in there at least once or twice, and if it lands on me...
the funny thing is, Jim...
Then you win a T-shirt.
Jim, you actually already have won a T-shirt from YouTube, which I need your address. I've not done that yet.
There we go.
That's on
false promises, mate. Is that how it is it?
No, that's on our the episode I release next on YouTube. I announce you as winner, so...
Oh, well, I'll spoil
we haven't got there yet. Then.
No, we haven't got there yet. So, yeah, Jim, if you pick a number between 1 and 308.
215.
200. Fuck, this spreadsheet's huge. 215.
It's not me, is it?
That is... former guest on the show, Beck. That's This Girl Loves Horror.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Well done, Beck.
So, Beck, you need to drop us a DM. Drop us a DM, give us your address, pick a piece of merchandise from the website, and we'll send that out to you. I'm feeling really generous. Pick another number.
124.
No, pick another number. Beck can't win twice.
69.
Oh, classic.
Classic.
That would have been my go-to number as well. Very mature like that.
Shock horror. 69. That is Adam Willow 88. Adam, I've spoken to you loads in the last 6 months to a year since you've been listening to the show. Drop me a DM and we'll sort you out a piece of merchandise as well. Freebies. There will be something new coming, not this week, probably next week, that will start. I'm not going to tell you how to play that. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. And even when we start it, I'm not going to tell you how to play.
Why do you have to be so cryptic all the time? Just be a normal person.
All I'm going to say is you need to listen to the episode starting from next week in their entirety to play that game. You can't dip out early at any point.
I'm so annoyed at you right now because I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I know. It's great. Anyway, now we've had that really, really happy moment, and it's been a happy moment. We've given something away. I think it's only fair that from that happy moment we do something a little bit more somber. It's time we play Broken Spirit.
I told you. Yeah. I want to play a game.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood.
What have you done to its eyes?
Well, it's elevated horror.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
You're going to like it.
I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
How was that the slaughterhouse?
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Oh, I know this one, fuck.
So for anyone who doesn't remember how to play Broken Spirit, this is one of 2 unbeaten quizzes on this show. This quiz has been unbeaten for almost 2 years. There's 15 questions, 10 points per question. You can stop the game and walk away with your points at any time you want. If you get a question wrong, the game is over and you lose all of your points. Top of the leaderboard is Lady Crisis, who has been there for 6 months now.
Bitch.
She's been there literally for half a year. So you need to get 130 points to dethrone her, or 120 points to sit in second place. So, Jim, the only one question I have to ask you is, who do you want to go first, me or Mark?
You.
Me. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question number 1. Who plays Jesse Walsh in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2?
Mark Patton.
That's correct. 10 points.
Well done. Question number 2. What year did Buffy the Vampire Slayer series debut?
1997.
I was going to give you multiple choice questions with that, but you've nailed it already. So well done. I had a list. I was pausing for dramatic effect. I was going to give you a list of options, but don't worry, you've got it. Well done.
Question number 3. In what movie franchise would you find a xenomorph?
Alien.
That's correct. You could have had Alien, or you could have had Alien versus Predator. So yeah, that's 30 points. You're flying through them.
So, question number 4. What is the name of the real-life serial killer who inhabits the doll in Child's Play series Chucky?
Charles Lee Ray.
That is correct. Well done. 40 points.
You're flying through these a bit quicker and a bit easier than I expected. Okay. Who directed the movie Get Out?
How many passes do I get?
You don't.
You don't.
Oh.
So if you get this wrong, you will walk away with 0 points. So if you don't know it, don't take a shot. Think about it. So think about it. Take your time. Get Out.
Oh, it's Jordan Peele.
That's correct.
You're killing it. Over to you for question 6, Mark.
Question number 6. Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. appeared on screen for Scooby-Doo, but what horror movie also saw them team up together?
I think I know this one.
I'd be surprised if you didn't.
You know, I'm not actually that big a fan of this movie, but it's I Know What You Did Last Summer.
How can you not be a big fan of I Know What You Did Last Summer? It's like the greatest 90s slasher.
It's rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
Oh, you guys, honestly.
Question number 7. Michael Myers' first victim was his sister, but what was his sister's name?
It's Judith.
It is. Judith what?
Myers?
That's correct.
You had me nervous then. I assume that was implied.
Question number 8. Horror, not horror. As you all know, this is my favourite part of the game. Oh. So, the rules of horror, not horror are simple. I will read you a quote from a movie, and all you have to do is tell me if it is horror, not horror. I don't need the name of the movie, but it does help for everybody else. So this is a quote. There isn't a day in my life when I haven't felt like a fraud. I mean, priests, doctors, I've talked to them all. I don't know anyone who hasn't felt that.
Is that a horror movie or not a horror movie?
That's horror.
Any
That's
idea
correct.
what film?
It is horror.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Doesn't matter if you get it wrong. It doesn't matter. You've passed now.
Yeah, you've got it right. Just take a guess. Have a stab at it.
Well, I've said it's horror, so I'm okay. But you know, the beers are kicking in, so I can't. I don't know. Go on, hit me.
It was The Exorcist.
Fuck off.
Of course, it was The Exorcist.
Yeah,
my favourite film.
Question number 9.
You have to cut that
out. Which of these horror movies is not based on a book? A Quiet Place, Frankenstein, Interview with the Vampire or Bird Box?
Bird Box. Oh shit.
You gonna go with Bird Box, or you gonna? You can go with Bird Box if you're happy with that. You snapped in really quick, which is why I'm asking you.
Well, I know it's not Frankenstein, and I know it's not shit. What was the other one? Shit, I shouldn't have had a drink.
Yeah.
Interview with the Vampire.
Interview with the Vampire, A Quiet Place, Bird Box, or Frankenstein.
Oh fuck! Now I'm doubting myself.
Which ones do you know are books? Start with that.
Frankenstein and Interview with the Vampire, without question.
So that leaves you Get Out or Bird Box.
It doesn't leave you Get Out at all.
No, it doesn't leave you Get Out. It leaves you Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place or Bird Box?
Yeah, those two.
It's got to be A Quiet Place then, hasn't it?
Are you sure? You said Bird Box earlier. Why are you now deviating? Not that I want to swear your idea, I'm just curious.
I'm just trying to think. I think maybe I've read something about John Krasinski having source material. I don't know. There's something. I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
You going with A Quiet Place?
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh!
90 points.
Question number 10. Who played Carrie in the 1976 adaptation of Stephen King's book?
Sissy Spacek.
That is correct. Well done.
You're now in the big leagues. You're on 100 points. So you're only 3 away from catching Lady Crisis.
I'll happily take second.
Okay.
I just want to say right now to you, Jim, you have this immediate sort of urge to shoot out answers.
Yeah.
Just know if you get that wrong, you are immediately out. So just take your time. Think about the question before you answer it.
Patrick Wilson plays which real-life and fictional character in the Conjuring universe?
Is it Ted? Are they Ted and... Fuck. Ed
what?
Ed Warren? No. Is it Ed Warren?
Is that your answer?
My gut's telling me to, yeah. Yeah, fuck it, Ed Warren. That's
correct. 110 points.
I would have probably given him a pass at Ted, to be honest.
I wasn't going
to. Question number 10. What is used to suppress a leprechaun's power in the movie Leprechaun? And just remember, if you don't know it, you can walk away.
You can walk away with 110 points.
Is that a 4-leaf clover?
Just wondering how long I can pause for dramatic effect.
Even I'm on the edge of my seat. Is it right?
That is right. That is a 4-leaf clover. Well done.
So, if you get this one, you tie with Lady Crisis.
I'm just praying it's from one of my franchises.
How long should The Purge last from the sounding of the siren?
I've seen it once, years ago. Fuck. Is it?
It's a certain amount of hours.
We won't take this as your answer, but what is your gut telling you?
It's either 12 or 24. Am I anywhere near?
Well, we can't tell you that, but...
Hang on. Let me think. I remember it being nighttime when it all kicked off. Hang on. Wait, I know this. I don't know whether I should trust my instincts or bow out now. It's killing me. No, 24 hours seems too long. Although 1 hour felt too long in that movie. I'm gonna go...
I nearly choked on my beer.
I'm gonna go with 12.
Gonna go with 12?
I'm gonna go with 12.
I actually don't know the answer to this.
Oh shit!
I would have said 24.
If you're going with 12, you going with 12?
I am.
That's correct. You're tied with Lady Crisis.
Am I neck and neck?
Oh,
yeah. You're at 100.
Of course, because it's from like dusk till dawn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The siren says at the commencement of the annual purge, it will last for 12 hours. All emergency services are suspended during this time. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, because it's usually like daybreak, and then all the ambulances and police coming in the morning. Of course, it's 12.
Yeah. 2 to go. Can you be the one?
Oh, here we go. Question number 14. Who directed the original version of The Hills Have Eyes?
Oh, finally. Wes Craven.
Stormin, well done, my friend. That is correct.
You are the first person to reach the final question since I made it all the way there, gave the correct answer and changed my mind and lost all my points and left with 0.
Just so we all know right now, that was the greatest moment in my life. And I have a child and I've been married, and it was still the best thing that's ever happened to me.
But you were incredibly depressed when I reached there. When I gave the correct answer, there were beads of sweat trickling down your face.
And then you immediately filled that with joy. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Question 15. The final question. Remember, you can walk away if you don't know it.
I have to, because I'm sat here with a puddle of piss.
It's another director question. Who directed the original Poltergeist?
Well, I think Lady Crisis and I are going to be neck and neck for quite some time now, because I'm not going to risk it.
You're ahead. You're ahead. You are
ahead.
You're in front.
I'll take that. I'm bowing out, boys. That's it. I'm not going to risk it.
You sure?
You sure?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Hang on. No, I'm not.
Sure?
Yeah, okay. You're going to walk
away. I'm not going to risk it.
Okay.
I got it right. I was fucking right.
You are now sat top of the leaderboard with 140 points. If you were going to take a guess, who do you think directed it?
I haven't got a clue. My mind's telling me Steven Spielberg, and I know that's not right.
You wouldn't have been far wrong, though.
No, you wouldn't have been far wrong, but you would have been wrong. It was directed by Tobe Hooper. In reality, it was directed by Steven Spielberg, and Tobe Hooper sat next to him and took notes. But
we all know it was directed by Steven Spielberg.
Let's do some roundups. I'm going to take this first, and then I'm going to let Mark and then Jim can take us home. I love this movie. The switch up in the Freddy motives makes sense to me. Anyone who says it doesn't just needs to take a little bit of a harder look. He failed with Nancy. He's come back with a new idea and a new plan, unlike the likes of Michael Myers or Jason or even Pinhead, who just rinse and repeat the same shit they've tried that's got them killed for the last 7 movies. He tried something different. The homosexual overtones in this, as I said at the beginning of this episode, I missed first time I watched it. When you know they're there, they're very easy to see, but it doesn't detract from the movie, and I don't think that defines this movie. This movie is a great horror movie, irrespective of any overtones that are in it. The overtones just add a different depth to it that just simply doesn't exist in other slashers of this time. This is decades further forward than any other movie that was released in the 80s. Freddy is super scary. This movie, the original, and New Nightmare are the only times that Freddy has been truly evil, and in this one he's peak evil. Performances are pretty solid across the board. Even Lisa, who drives me fucking wild, I think she's a good actress. She does what she's meant to do well. Mark Patton steals every single scene he's in, without question. From the dancing scene when he's being really goofy and funny, you really connect with that character, down to when he's in moments of sheer terror, he's a character that you really root for. This movie gets way too much hate. It is the underappreciated gem in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. It, on this watch, has crept back into my top 3. It's not top, but it's in my top 3. It's the problem with Freddy, the franchise as a whole, is the bar is so fucking high. So I'm not giving this full marks, but purely for the fact that the movie that sits above it is a 10 out of 10. This gets a 9 out of 10, and this is a high recommend for me. If you've not seen this movie, go and watch it.
Very solid. For me, this film is littered with flaws and inconsistencies and improbabilities based on the lore of Freddy from the first film. And I feel like a lot of the responsibility lies upon the fact that this was so rushed into production after the release of the original Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And I know I've picked this apart and I've caused issues and raised topics throughout this podcast where I've questioned everybody else's perceptions, but that is mainly due to my own interest than anything else. I've wanted to know how everybody else perceives this film more out of curiosity than anything else, because for me, this is such a multi-layered movie. You can watch this with so many different takes and ideas, and you can watch it, as I've said, with the idea that Freddy is trying to get into the real world and is using Jesse as a vessel to do so, or you can watch this from the perspective of Jesse fighting with his homosexuality in the real world, or you can watch this where Jesse is a killer and Freddy's not actually even in this film, and it's all from Jesse's mind. You can even go as far to stretch this version of this film where you can see Jesse being werewolfed, and you can see him fighting with his demons when the night falls. I mean, this movie is so unclear cut than any other horror movie that I've ever experienced. And for me, that just adds so many more layers to it than it deserves. You can literally walk into this with the idea that Freddy is possessing Jesse, or Jesse is gay and this is him fighting with his homosexuality. You can just, no matter what you want to perceive this film to be, I think it can be that for you as an audience. And for that reason, as you've already said, Scott, it is so ahead of its time. This is basically what A24 would do with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise in 2023. And for that, I just can't do anything but applaud it. I think it's fantastic. I think the cast is outstanding, a little bit cheesy and a product of its time in places, don't get me wrong. The practical effects are outstanding. Without question, some of the best practical effects that this franchise has experienced. And I know that something that's synonymous with this franchise is always Freddy's demise at the end, and it's always how good the practical effects are in that closing moments. But this film delivers it just as much as the rest of them, but it also delivers it throughout. I love it, and I love it for a magnitude of reasons based on my own perception of the film and how I choose to view it, depending on what mood I'm in, which creates so much rewatchability for me as a person, because I don't know how to try and sort of vocalize that to my roundup, really. It's difficult to try and put into words how much I appreciate what this film did ahead of its time. And I don't know whether that's for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. And again, the Scream Queen documentary that we spoke about dives into that a little bit more. And I wish as an audience we had a little bit more clarity onto the direction that was originally intended for it. But again, I kind of at the same time don't want that, because my own perception of it is what makes it so highly regarded for me as a fan of this movie. I'm not a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. I'm not somebody who idolizes franchise. You know, I'm a Halloween guy. You know, that's my wheelhouse. But every time I do revisit the Nightmare series, there is no question that this is leagues above the rest based on the bravery that it decided to take with its narrative and the tonal shift that it took from the first film in trying to do something different, whether that be the simplicity of a final girl or a final boy in this instance. I just think it flipped the horror genre on its head and did it in a way that was just not appreciated at the time of its release. And I hope for people who have the stigma around this film, who have been like, oh yeah, Freddy's Revenge is shit and it's the worst Nightmare film. I plead for you to go back and watch it again with a different perspective and a different outlook. And hopefully some of the comments I've made throughout this episode tonight will make you think twice about some of the things that you thought about it the first time around, and go back and just try and give it some of the appreciation that it deserves. And as I've always said, my reviews are based on my appreciation of film, regardless of the overall quality and the loopholes and the plot problems. And for me, every time I watch this film, I walk away from it ecstatic with my experience. I think this is a 5 out of 5, without question, the best Nightmare on Elm Street film. 5 out of 5. I've got nothing else to say. I think this is a perfect movie.
Jim?
Ooh, How do I follow that?
Oh, don't worry. Usually that's just rambling. You listen to that back when the episode's released, and you'll be like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
You listen to that back when the episode's released, and it's about a minute shorter.
Oh no, it really is. It's hard to know where to start with this because, like Mark just said, there's so much to play with and pull apart. And I'm not going to do that because I think you could go off into a whole other episode in terms of metaphors and interpretations. But I, for one, think Mark should write a dissertation on this.
Oh, mate, I could be here for days. I love this film so much. I've watched it so many times, I couldn't even tell you. I could write a book about Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
So I'll start with the negatives first, shall I? Get them out of the way. And there's one that none of us mentioned. I think it needs to be brought to attention. It's those god-awful Rottweilers with Cabbage Patch faces.
Oh, the baby Rottweiler dogs. Yes. Didn't we gloss so quickly over the end? Wow. How did we not touch upon that?
Yeah. We tore apart the shitty flying bird, but we ignored them. Anyway.
Yeah.
Good reason. A lot of people pull this apart for the reason that Freddy comes into the real world. And I'm one of them. I don't pull it apart for that. I'm not a fan because for me, and like a lot of other people, when Freddy joins the real world, that's when the terror stops. In this movie, the scariest scene for me is at the beginning with the Jesse and Freddy. They first meet, he pulls the head back. And, you know, as a kid, that's what frightened me most. I watched the first three religiously as a kid, but that was the one that plagued my nightmares. I don't know what it was. It's just, you know, you go downstairs in the middle of the night and he's there. It was just that plagued me the most. It wasn't the most dramatic, but it was arguably the most simple.
Yeah,
but it was
and I
so
have to agree with you
terrifying
as well. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do agree. This is not a scary movie. I don't think. In terms of horror movies, I don't think this could be considered a scary movie.
But at the same time, Freddy's is absolutely most terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robert Englund is the best portrayal of Freddy you've got.
Yeah. Yeah. But on the flip side of Freddy in the real world isn't scary, he gives, in my opinion, two of the best lines of the entire franchise. Like we said before, "You're all my children now," but I mean, this one doesn't have as much meat, but it's just one that I quote a lot, and it's so stupid. But you know, when the guy goes up to him and he's like, "Oh, hey man, yeah, I'm here to help," blah blah blah. "Help yourself, fucker!" And that I just love that line. It doesn't mean but I just love it.
We didn't touch upon that, but that dude, man, seriously, how fucking stupid you have to be.
There's a man with razors on his hands. Yeah, I'll talk him down.
Yeah, I forgot completely about the hostage negotiator who tries to talk to Freddy off the ledge.
But then I think this, in terms of changes, this is really, really subtle, but I think it gave us the best change in the franchise. I say franchise, I know it was a second movie, and it's so subtle, but I think everyone notices it. It's the red door. Everyone sees this house, Nancy's house, you know, moving forward. We get the little lolly stick house. It's always got a red door from now on. And I think only going back...
have a red door in the first film?
No, and I don't think a lot of people realize...
Oh, sorry, was that your point? Sorry, I missed that.
You go back and I think it's blue, but you think of this house, you see the red door, and it ties in, obviously, naturally with the red and the green. Obviously, the roof's green, the door's red, and yeah.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. So that's insane. So that in the first movie, that door's not red. But now, every time I picture the Elm Street house, it's always red door.
Yeah, no, the door in the first one was like a bluey green, sort of almost like a teal type colour.
Yeah, I might not have anything profound to say on the movie, but I like the red door.
So what are you scoring this then, Jim?
I adore this movie. And I know I just said I watched the first three as a kid, but I came to one slightly later. My cousin and I used to watch them every other week on VHS, 2 and 3, back to back. So although they're two very different movies, they're kind of conjoined to me because I watch them together every week. So it does have its faults.
Do it, man. Do it.
Like 8.
Top max.
I'm going to give it
an 8. Wow, I thought you would go higher than that. I'm assuming Dream Warriors is a 10.
It's a 9. It's my favourite, but that's still a 9. It's not perfect. Yeah.
So I'm on an island with this, then, am I?
Yeah. The thing is, it scored a 5 out of 5, a 9 out of 10, and an 8 out of 10. This is a pretty fucking solid endorsement for a movie on this show.
Yeah.
How many times have we got movies that was like we'll get the listener scores, they're like, it's a 9, and we get to our review and go, it's a 3. This is dumb. Yeah. Who put this on our show? It's a great movie. If you have not seen A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, or you've avoided it because you've seen people slag it off and say it's the worst nightmare, go and watch it. Definitely go and watch the Scream Queens documentary, because that is outstanding. And I'll put the link for that in this episode. Jim, a huge thank you for you coming on. I've been threatening to get you on for well over a year now, and I'm so pleased you're finally here.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. It's been nice to finally get in.
Yeah, no, you're always welcome.
It's been a pleasure to have you here. So
it has.
Tell us all where we can find you.
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm on Instagram, probably most active on there because I've got the most followers.
Yeah.
I'm on X.
Where can we find you on Instagram?
I'm Jim's Retro Emporium across the board. So yeah, pretty easy to find. I have Facebook. Well, nah.
Yeah, your Threads.
Threads. So you've got me calling it trends now.
I keep calling it trends, and I maintain that trends is a better fucking name than Threads.
It is. But I'm also on Slasher because of you.
Yeah.
Giving me more work. And I have a YouTube channel, and I've been gearing up for quite some time. I've just had a few hiccups, but it's coming. It's all gearing up to YouTube, so watch this space.
Yeah.
And
go and follow Jim, because Jim's account your account fills me with so much envy, very much like Mark's VHS account and like Video Tasty's account. Like, you share stuff and like stuff from your collection. I look at it and go, how the fuck did you get that? And that's my reaction 90% of the time. And like, you'll share like a stack of something, and in that stack it's like, there are 7 movies that I have looked for high and low, and I can never find them. And you've got them. And then the next post I look at is Gareth, and Gareth's got the same on VHS. And then I look at Mark, and Mark's got, I was like, I've got none of this shit. Your account's great, and everyone go and follow Jim. Talk to Jim as well. Reach out to Jim, because Jim is a great one. There are so many people online that are very false, and Jim is exactly what you expect Jim to be. You approach Jim, you speak to Jim. You're a genuine person. Like, when you speak to people like they're a human, you're not a big face as account. You've got a big following, and people see a big following, they're like, oh shit, they're a really big account. Just approach Jim and talk to you. Jim will talk to you. Jim will, if you have any interest in Buffy, Jim will talk to you for days.
And if I like you, I'll send you the really offensive stuff that no one else gets.
No, I get that. You don't want that, trust me.
Yeah, my inbox is full of that. That's it for another week. Again, thank you, Jim, for coming on. Next week, we are covering Saw 10. But because I done on From Dusk Till Dawn, I done a Saw 10 quote. Today, I'm going to round it off with the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 quote that you didn't get last week. If that makes sense. I hope you're still with me. So, until next time, Jesse, we got special work to do here, you and me. See you next week.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
And, before I forget,
I'll kill you if this is a joke.
You want to die tonight?
The You Run Podcast.
The You Run Podcast.
The You Run Podcast.
The You Run Podcast.
Why isn't it possible?
I can't say nothing. A Candyman will get me.
You choose the movies.
I had a hard-on this morning when I woke up, Tina. Had your name written all over it.
You score them.
Nice fucking model!
You review them.
For that you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
My name is very fucking confused. What's your name?
Captain Howdy.
You don't want to go fooling around other folks' property.
In my goddamn soul.
has a beard. Because after all, this is not our show, this is your show.